Most histories of Islam in India begin with conquest, armies, borders, empires. But centuries before any invasion, Muslim merchants were already sailing to India's western coast, carried by the same monsoon winds that connected Arabia and India for generations. The first Muslims in India didn't arrive with swords. They arrived with cargo, families, and faith. And the shores that welcomed them hold a story almost no one begins with. Centuries before the rise of Islam, the Indian Ocean worked like a living highway. Ships from Arabia sailed east, drawn by the steady rhythm of the monsoon winds. Each year, these seasonal winds shifted direction, opening a window for travel and trade between the Arabian Peninsula and the western coast of India. Merchants planned their journeys with care, waiting for the southwest monsoon to carry them toward the Malabar coast and the northeast winds to bring them home again. The goods that moved across these waters shaped daily life on both shores. Black pepper, cardamom, and cinnamon left the forests of Kerala and filled the holds of wooden dhows. Pearls, fine cotton, and precious stones traveled alongside Arabian horses, frankincense, and perfumes. The port towns of Muziris and Patanam became famous for their bustling markets, where languages mixed and new ideas quietly took root. Archaeological finds such as Roman amphorae, glass beads, and the remains of ancient docks show that this was a world connected by commerce long before any empire reached these shores. The Indian Ocean trade was not just a route for goods, but a meeting place for cultures, beliefs, and stories that would later shape the region in unexpected ways. For Islam, monsoon winds shaped centuries of contact between Arabia and Kerala. After the rise of Islam in the 7th century, the familiar ships kept crossing the Indian Ocean. The same monsoon winds filled their sails, and the old routes from Arabia to the Malabar coast remained open. The biggest change was not in the sea or the ships, but in the faith of many who sailed them. Arab traders, now Muslims, continued their journeys to Kerala's ports, bringing with them new customs and prayers alongside their goods. Travelers and writers from later centuries like Al-Masudi in the 900s and Al-Biruni in the early 1100s described this world with a sense of recognition. They wrote of busy harbors, foreign settlements, and Muslim communities living and trading along the coast. Their accounts show that the rhythms of trade did not break with the coming of Islam. Instead, a new layer of religious identity grew within the same patterns of exchange and settlement. Some Muslim merchants began to stay for longer periods, building homes and forming small communities in port towns. Over time, these settlements became part of the local landscape, blending with Kerala's own traditions. The sea lanes that had once carried only goods now carried faith and family ties as well. Along the southwestern edge of India, the Malabar coast stretches for hundreds of kilometers, facing the open waters of the Arabian Sea. For centuries, this coastline has served as a natural gateway between India and the wider world. The land behind the shore is green and fertile, but it is the sea that made these towns important. Ports like Kodungallur and Kollam offered safe anchorage for ships riding the monsoon winds. Their harbors opened into rivers and backwaters, making it easy for goods to move inland. Markets buzzed with activity, drawing merchants from Arabia, Persia, East Africa, and beyond. Here, pepper and cardamom changed hands alongside gold, ivory, and textiles. Local rulers understood the value of this trade. They welcomed foreign merchants, granting them places to dock, trade, and sometimes settle. The prosperity of the coast depended on commerce, and the rulers of Kerala often gave special privileges to those who brought wealth and new connections. This openness shaped the character of the Malabar ports. Rather than fortresses or battlefields, they became crossroads, places where languages mixed and new ideas quietly arrived. Over time, these harbors developed into some of the most cosmopolitan towns in the Indian Ocean world, woven into a network that reached as far as the Red Sea and the Mediterranean. The first Muslims to settle along India's western coast were not conquerors or soldiers. They were most likely Arab merchants and sailors, men who had crossed the Indian Ocean for generations, now carrying a new faith alongside their cargo. Some arrived alone, others with families, and many stayed longer than a single trading season. Over time, these visitors became neighbors. They built simple homes near the harbors, hired local workers, and learned the rhythms of Kerala's markets and backwaters. Life in these early Muslim communities was shaped by the everyday. Prayer was woven into the work of the day before sunrise, after the last sail, in quiet corners of a bustling port. There were no grand mosques at first, only small prayer houses, made of timber and clay, close to the water and the markets. Arabic was spoken in the home and the market, but Malayalam became the language of daily life. In the evenings, families gathered for meals, flavored with pepper and coconut, sharing stories in many tongues. Marriage played a quiet but powerful role. Arab men often married local women, creating new family ties that helped Islam take root in Kerala's soil. Children grew up hearing both the Quran and the songs of the Malabar coast. Over generations, a distinct community formed, known today as the Mappila Muslims. They kept the memory of their Arab origins, but their lives were deeply woven into Kerala's own traditions. The Mappilas became skilled sailors, traders, and craftsmen, respected for their honesty and their knowledge of the sea. The earliest mosques were not monuments of stone, but humble wooden structures with sloping roofs, built to withstand the heavy monsoon rains. These spaces were more than places of worship. They were centers of community, where people gathered for prayer, learning, and support. Inscriptions in Arabic, found on old gravestones and mosque walls, quietly record the names of those who lived and died here centuries ago: merchants, sailors, settlers, and local converts. The Mappila Muslims of Kerala, a community shaped by trade, faith, and family. In Kerala, the story of the Cheramanjuma Masjid lives on as a powerful local memory. According to tradition, a Chera king saw a sign in the sky and chose to embrace the new faith of Islam. The legend tells that he invited Malik ibn Dinar, an Arab traveler remembered as a gentle teacher, to build a mosque at Kodungallur. Many in Kerala believe this mosque was founded in 629 CE, making it the oldest in India. The story describes a peaceful meeting of cultures, with faith arriving not by force, but by invitation and friendship. Historians, however, look for evidence beyond the legend. The earliest written records about the mosque appear centuries later, and no clear inscription from the 7th century has been found at the site. Some scholars suggest the mosque was built later, perhaps in the 8th or 9th century, and that the story itself grew over time as a symbol of Kerala's openness to new ideas. Still, the tradition remains deeply meaningful. For many, the Cheramanjuma Masjid is not only a place of prayer, but a reminder that Islam's first steps in India are remembered as peaceful, local, and woven into the life of the Malabar coast. In 712 CE, a new chapter began in the northwest of the subcontinent. Muhammad bin Qasim, a young general from the Umayyad Caliphate, led an army across the Indus River and captured Sindh. This was not a story of ships and markets, but of soldiers, forts, and new rulers. The conquest brought the first Islamic political authority to Indian soil, establishing a province ruled from far-off Damascus. Yet, this event unfolded long after Muslim traders had already settled on the Malabar coast. The arrival of Islam in Sindh followed a different path, one shaped by military campaigns and imperial ambitions, not by the slow weaving of trade, family, and local life. Both stories belong to India's past, but they began in different places and moved at different speeds. Today, the echoes of those first coastal encounters still shape Kerala's diverse tapestry. Trade, faith, and shared lives built quiet bridges that endure beyond borders or empires. In a world often divided, these early stories remind us connection, not conquest, leaves the deepest roots. Thank you for joining this journey.